gets aggravated when I talk to her every time.
It's no secret.
You know, people don't like me asking questions. But I ask a million questions, so if I start asking too many, let me know.
You don't mind, I'm looking at you thinking about who you look like right now. Who I see in you. Besides Uncle Tony. We ain't talking Uncle Tony.
So did you learn the Islamic language in the mosque? Or?
Yes, when we first went to the mosque, I don't remember the month, but Abdul was a babe. No, he was walking. Oh. He was a year. Okay. And Alima's kids, they must have been 2 or 3 or something like that. Mm-hmm. But when we moved in the mosque, we wasn't ready for it. You know, we thought we were. Well, we met a Muslim in Wichita, Kansas. We was visiting our folks up there, and he had on all white. He was hot as I don't know what. He was sharp as a tack and all his white. He didn't look as hot as us. And he had on, the jalabia, the long sleeve, like Uncle Tony, his little, And he started telling us about the mosque where he was from. Mm-hmm. We were already studying Islam. Mm-hmm. But when we met him and learned more about the mosque in Brooklyn, then, we started communicating with them. Okay. And then we started preparing to go. Mm-hmm. My mama was preparing, and we weren't going to let her leave without us. Mm-hmm. So we had to get our passports and all that. Mm-hmm. And then we...
And where was it at?
It's in New York. It's in Brooklyn, New York. Uh-huh. But you had to have your passport because they dealt with a lot of the people from Ethiopia and...
oh, yeah.
I want to say Pakistan. I'm trying to think.
Islamic country.
Islamic. And their teachers used to come over to where we were. Mm-hmm. And where we were, it was a whole community of houses and stuff. But the women and the children lived behind the gates. Mm. You had to, and it was guards on the gates. So just anybody couldn't come where we lived. Mm.
So how did it look? What was the compound? How did it look? Like, was it a big compound or was it a huge building or?
It was a compound. Mm-hmm. And you had one. When you come behind the gates, when you first come in, it's one big building. And in that building, in the downstairs, there was classrooms. Because on Fridays, when they have Juma, people would come for classes after Juma. And then when you go up them steps, there was rooms where that's where the women lived. In this particular place. And then in the far back was a big kitchen. Mm-hmm. And then when you come out of there, you go down some stairs, and there's a big area where the kids used to play, where we used to sit out. Mm-hmm. Then you go up to another big house, that's where our children stayed.
Oh, wow. Uh-huh. So y'all didn't stay with the children?
Mm-hmm. No, the women, only the women that work with the children live with the children.
That is
And then the men lived with the men. There were a few, the older couples, they lived as couples in other houses up the street. Hmm. And then, but how we would get together with our husbands, they called it the green room. Mm-hmm. It's like going to the motel.
Okay.
Like you get with your mate and you go to, called the green room.
Right.
But that's how, we visited our husbands.
But how often was that?
Pretty much whenever they said, like if your husband was making his quota, because they had to go and work and bring money in, and when they made their quota, they had it pretty good because they could get to go anytime pretty much they wanted to. Okay. But if you were somebody that they didn't like so well, anything that you think is good is always a mess.
Yeah, exactly.
So that person didn't get to go see their mates or whatever all the time there. But what they would do is the women would get a pass and go out. And when we go out, you never was alone. It was always 2 sisters.
Yeah,
and the brother always drove us wherever. Many of the people then, when I couldn't drive, they thought it was amazing that I could drive.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, there was only one other sister. She was a nurse who drove. Mm-hmm. Yeah, but it was pretty nice. Our children, their first language was Arabic.
Oh, wow.
And their teachers came from Sudan. That's what I was trying to say, Sudan.
Okay,
That's where most of the teachers came from,
okay.
Sudan. Yeah. And
So,
we all had lessons. You know, all during the week we were taught.
so you was fluent. Are you
Yeah.
still fluent?
No, not.
What can you say now?
Just small things.
Tell us.
Like K-Faholic.
What's that?
How are you doing?
Capeaholic.
Like K-Faholic.
Okay.
I can say stuff too.
Ta'ali, come here. F-Hab,
I
go
can say
away.
stuff. Bismillah.
What does that mean? You're being recorded.
In God.
Bismillah, in the name of God.
And
I
then
can still say prayers in Arabic.
Wassalamualaikum or something like that.
Assalamu alaikum.
What does that mean?
I know one means peace.
Just may peace be unto you.
Yeah, and then
Okay.
there's another one.
Because his daddy still
Oh.
speaks some
Oh
Spanish.
wow.
Yeah.
What's wrong with her? Is Musa one?
Musa is a name.
What is it? What is it?
But our older children, that was their first language.
Oh, wow.
What is it?
So he should, yeah, that was his first.
They said something like,
Yeah.
yeah, everybody like it.
When we first moved back here, well, Alima moved back first here, her and her kids,
Mm-hmm.
and her wife and my mama. My mama moved first.
Mhm.
Because, you know, she was diagnosed with cancer before we left. But
In New York.
Before we left Oklahoma.
Okay.
But she wanted to be, you know, in the midst of people who believe the way she believed.
Mm-hmm.
And that worked out very well for a while. But in anything, you know, it's always something.
Yeah.
You know, we don't live up to it 100%.
Yeah.
But as long as, I mean, in the beginning, it appeared to me like we were living 100%.
Yeah.
Mhm.
But as you do stuff, and the more passionate and serious you get about it, and all the time, then we read the Holy Quran a lot. And we prayed at least 5 times a day.
Mm.
And we had a night where we would pray all night. We make 100 rakats. And it's real tiresome. You have breaks in between, but afterward, oh God, I can't even put into words how you feel.
Wow.
And we fasted the month of Ramadan, that's the whole month.
Mm-hmm.
And then every evening after we break our fast, you know, it was a big celebration. And then at the last of the 30 days, it was Idul Fitr, we call it. And it was an amazing celebration.
Oh, wow.
You know, where we were just all dressed up and it was music and dancing and
Mhm.
food. And
Cool.
I really enjoyed it.
Mhm.
We had a lot of good times, but again, in anything, when you find out that you believe something wholeheartedly, and it
Mm-hmm.
wasn't always the truth,
Yeah.
you step away.
Mm.
And then when my mom saw that, she was still in New York, and I was in, Alima had already, I think Alima had already left.
Yeah.
Now, Alima was married to who you, like how pastors are.
Mm-hmm.
In Islam, they're called like amirs,
Mhm.
where they go to different mosques and, you know, do like preachers. And she was married to one, so she did a lot of traveling. And she just looked exquisite all the time. And I look nice just because of my husband. He was a very good propagator,
Okay.
they called him. You know, he made his quota, and so he dressed me in silk, and I had diamonds and pearls. And,
Okay.
you know, but all the other sisters didn't. You know, and that wasn't right. Because the whole point of the sisters living together, the kids living together,
It's
was
the
that
unity.
unity.
Mm-hmm.
But you felt that unity, though. You
Wow.
really did. All the children called every woman mother, Umi.
Okay.
Umi,
My
okay.
mother. And they called every man Abu, you know, my father.
Mhm.
And I
Okay.
love that, you
Mm.
know, and we were supposed to treat, you know, all of them the same.
Mm-hmm.
And that was the purpose of us all living the way we live,
Yeah.
for that unity in where we were.
Yeah, cool. But then it brings jealousy, especially if they weren't wearing jewelry and you were, and you had on silk,
But
did they?
you know what happened? Okay, when I first moved there, when I moved from Oklahoma to New York, I worked in the office. I worked at Jones Newby Supply Company in Oklahoma City as an accountant. You know, I did the books, accounts receivable, accounts payable. So when I went there, they put you in the jobs where you come from. And I had to redo the books, but they also had me to go with another sister to shop for the imam's wives, because he had, I don't remember how many wives.
Oh, wow.
And every day, me and this other sister would go to get their list and go do their shopping. And that became a problem with me because I saw that they were getting treated better than the rest of the women.
Oh, okay.
So of course I questioned.
Yeah.
I said she asked a lot of questions.
So that's.
So I'm like, okay, so why y'all getting all this other sister stuff? And they were buying their children certain things that our children wouldn't.
Yeah. No, don't put it on my head.
I don't need it. So many questions. They
now.
people going shopping with them.
Oh, yeah. Because they didn't want you to see what they were getting.
No, I started asking questions and I was like a troublemaker.
Oh.
I was like a troublemaker.
Oh, okay.
And just because you said it to me didn't mean I gobbled it all up.
Yeah.
How do you know?
Yeah. So, yeah, Tracy. Tracy's a lot like you.
I didn't always be somebody's friend. Everybody talking about me. But it was a good experience.
Yeah, cool.
My mama, when she got ready to leave, she came to Philly. I was surprised. Her and Tony had went to New York to get her, and then they came back through Philly because she said she wanted to tell me in person that she was leaving. I was so outdone. She walked in that door and you were screaming.
Yeah.
But she said she was moving back to Oklahoma because she wanted to be in the midst of her family.
Yeah.
To be around people who truly love her.
Yeah.
Because that's why we went there, to be in the midst of people who believe as we believe.
Yeah.
But at the end of this day, I don't know, nothing beats family.
Yeah, it don't. You're true. That's true.
I don't know, we get silly. But it's not that we get silly. We get too far away from God.
Yeah.
And if we keep God in our program, we wouldn't act the way that we act. And a lot of our younger people in our family, they wasn't around the older people like grandma, mama, and mother, and daddy, and Uncle W.T. and A. Morales.
Yeah.
And they missed out. Because, see, they got to the point, I told, who was I? I was telling Angie, my sister Alima, and who else? And they the ones started. I don't like them, talking about family.
Yeah.
And when they started that, but we shouldn't have laughed.
Yeah.
Because, you don't really take that just so serious.
Yeah.
But when they first said it, we should have spoke up and said no.
No, yeah, exactly. We gotta love each other.
Yeah. Because then it just kept going.
Yeah.
And then it was something that they said to their kids, and then we got out of line of how we were taught. Because we were taught.
Yeah.
To be close with family. Yeah. You know how they say what goes on in the family stay in the house?
Yeah.
That was pretty much, but what that meant is don't put other people before your family.
Yeah, that's true.
And families gonna have issues.
We're gonna have issues,
but you know what they taught us? Have a family meeting and vent it out. You don't let it just go on and on. If you got an issue, and for whatever reason you don't want to go one-on-one with that person, you go to the oldest person in the family that's around, and you tell them that we need to have a family meeting, and then you come together and you vent that stuff out. You don't let the devil come in and sit down.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? When he come in, he's supposed to kick his behind out. And that's what we haven't done. That's what we haven't done. Yeah, but it ain't too late.
Yeah, it's not.
It ain't too late.